Hello, hello. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 29th, 2023 meeting of the Rotary Club of Brentwood. My name is Keeley Hall, and I'm a past president of this club. Thank you very much. Thank you. Drew, our fearless leader for this year, he had to work in Florida this week, so we'll be remembering Drew. But he did want my assurance that I would not let this day pass without imparting some 50th anniversary trivia. So stay tuned for that, because I'm not going to do it right now. But first, Charles Grumman has our invocation, followed by Norris Johnson with our pledge and four-way test. Charles, take it away, sir.
I assume you're saving the 50th anniversary thing until after I speak, because if it's baseball, I'm going to hit you.
It's exactly what I'm
Yes, that's wise. Okay, I'm a last-minute fill-in, so I left my 10-minute invocation at home. Dear Lord, thank you for all of the gifts. Today, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful day with life-giving rain. Sometimes we forget our connection to nature, and when it rains and nature comes alive, we remember it, and we remember all the gifts that you've given us. Thank you for this opportunity to live in this wonderful country. Please help us be good citizens and elect good leaders. Thank you for our amazing community and the safety officers especially who protect us, and all of our neighbors who look out for each other. Amen.
Now, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test of things we think, say, and do. First, is it true? Second, is it fair, law, concern? Three, will it build goodwill, better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial, law, concern? And fifth,
Certainly
I hope so.
Now, Jennifer Bourne, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Jennifer Bourne. Jennifer will introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
All right, I was going to go speedy, but I'm going to listen to what he asked me to do a couple weeks ago. Okay, we've got lots of guests returning today, and we're so excited you guys are back. First one, Steve Tate. Where's Rod at? Oh, he's getting food. Please welcome Steve Tate. Our next one is Tim Elder. He's over here. He's trying to eat. Tim is he is a proposed member. He is in the process of membership. So please welcome him. If you haven't had a chance to meet him, please come by and say hello. Here we are. And you know what? Where did Mark? Okay. I'll wait for him. All right. Our next one is Banks. Banks is over here. He's eating. Just put food in his mouth. If you haven't met Banks, he's been here a few times. He is hopefully submitting a proposal for membership as well. So Banks Hickman with Jarvis Tree Experts. I had coffee with him yesterday. He is what is it called? He is an actual arborist. So if you guys are into trees, he is certified. Somebody to chat with. All right, and our last but certainly not least is a visiting Rotarian. This is Martin Plumley.
I'm from the Morning Club, so this is the least of these, okay? Be nice.
He is the president of the Morning Club right now, and he's working very closely with Drew. And so if you have a chance, say hi to him on your way out.
Welcome to all of our guests and our visiting Rotarians who are very special to us. Let's see, Michelle LaFollette is over there, and Michelle's going to do our Happy Bucks today. And I know y'all are happy. There's a lot of reasons to be happy. We're in the thick of SEC football season, so there's a lot of reasons for Alabama fans to not be happy. Just kidding, Bert. All right, who's happy?
Yes, thank you, Susie. Okay, everybody's been asking. I had great scans this week. The doctors have said I'm all done with chemo. I'm all done with radiation. I'm not going to do radiation. Yeah, so thank you, everybody, for your prayers. So later on this year, when the doctors get around to it, they're going to schedule some surgery. But for now, I can just be a regular person. Thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, Laura Troop.
I'm hoping we can put together a Rotary team foursome for the Brentwood High School golf fundraiser, Brentwood High School baseball team golf fundraiser. Very complicated. Would anybody be interested in being part of a foursome to play? Anyone, anyone? Linus? Awesome. Thanks. Okay, talk to me after. I'd love to throw a foursome together. Thanks.
I'd like to extend a particular thanks to Tom Carr for the ride home last weekend. I know there are a number of you guys that have lined up to give me a lift, and I sure appreciate it. So thanks, Tom, and thanks to all the rest of you.
This is a happy table.
So I'm very happy, thanks to the Buckeyes making that last OH and drive against Notre Dame. Now it's an early season, so we'll see. And as I was telling Jeff, Ohio State fans are probably the one or two fan bases to keep happy. We are very spoiled. So I'm happy about that. I'm also really excited because Charles and I are working on a trip to Columbia, and not Tennessee, the country, to meet some Rotarians down there. And then I always like to mix business with pleasure. So he's like, you want to go for a weekend? And I was like, no, I'm going for a week. So he'll stay for a weekend. I'll stay for a week. So, and then the last kind of a request. I have my cousin who just graduated is coming into town the weekend of, I think it's Halloween, but anyway, if anybody has tickets to the Titans game that they want to sell, he's a big Titans fan, and he's from Ohio. And so I might bring him here that day to introduce him to Rotary. He's a great kid. He's trying to be a major league umpire. So I'm really excited for him to come down to Tennessee and maybe move down here, so from Ohio. So a lot of things there. So thank you.
Okay, Tom Carr.
And here we are again, yes. After 7 long years of losing to the Clemson Tigers, we went into Death Valley and whipped some butt and made Dabo cry. I was happy to see his anguish as we beat them in overtime. We sacked the quarterback. I almost came out of my chair and had a heart attack when we knocked that fumble loose and took it back. It was glorious. And we continue on and on. Thank you.
Charles.
Thank you. Okay, well, now we have to invite everyone, Zach. So, yeah, PayPal. Sorry. Yeah, I live in 2023. So when are we going? November 10th-ish? Something like that? We got some details to work out. Okay, we got to talk about it. But before. Okay, and I'll probably be the weekend before. So the point of this
We'll leave
is
you
that-
alone if you need to talk through it more.
So
Okay.
if anyone else would like to come, the goal of this trip, my goal, God knows what Zach's up to, but my goal is to go and see, there's this club down in Columbia that really wants to partner with us. They have 3 projects going on that they're very interested in us supporting. One is a girls' school, one is a clinic that fixes a very specific eye problem. I think they have a surgeon from somewhere else in the country that comes down and we support him, and then I forget what the other one is. But Columbia's a great country. It's very inexpensive, $450 round trip to Barranquilla. Super friendly people, nice weather. In November, it'll be way nicer in Barranquilla than here in November. So if anybody would like to come, I have a local friend on the ground who can make all the arrangements, keep us from being confused. I speak Spanish, so it'll be a great time. If anybody wants to come, let us know.
Yes, Martin.
Good afternoon, noon Rotary friends. Real quick, Ming Wang spoke to our club on Tuesday here in this very room, so that was cool. If you're interested in seeing a sneak peek of his movie Sight, comes out end of next month, I'll be happy to share with you his executive assistant, Ella, who can make all that happen. He's doing them out of his office down in West End. But I'm most grateful for my good buddy Mike Dyer. He had brain surgery a week ago Monday. And praise Almighty God that I saw him last night with some friends for a impromptu happy hour. So God is good, and he's still on the throne. He still heals people, even through the skilled hands of a neurosurgeon. Go Vanderbilt.
Thank you. All right, guys, who else is happy today? I think that's it.
Good deal. was a great Happy Bucks. I appreciate all of your happy enthusiasm. And I had actually forgotten that Ohio State and Florida State still had a football team, so that was informative as well. Speaking of informative, I do need to report that we have a missing club laptop, and I don't know if we need... do you have it? I thought it was ours. Okay. All right, thank you. We would appreciate having that back. That would be lovely. If you have ideas for Rotary merch that you would like to purchase and wear and display about town, Laura Troop is gathering ideas for our very own sort of Brentwood Rotary Club merch store, is the way I understand it. So just give her your ideas. Go see her after the meeting. She'd love to hear what you have to say, what you'd like to have as your dream Rotary merch. Next announcement, most important announcement of the day, please remember, in fact, get your phones out right this very second, ladies and gentlemen, and turn in your calendar app to October the 26th, Thursday evening, October the 26th. Pull that date up, right at 6 o'clock. I must be present at Richland Country Club for the Rotary Club of Brentwood's 50th anniversary party. Woo! What's that? 6 o'clock for cocktail hour, 7 o'clock for dinner and program. And I'm going to be very excited to go back and watch this program online because nobody can hear the audience and you can only hear me. And so I'm going to be up here screaming, and they don't know that y'all just roared. Like, that was the loudest roar I've heard in my dreams. So October 26th, Rotary Club of Brentwood 50th anniversary party. We are moving our anniversary party up that we normally have in December to October because October is the month that we were originally founded in 1973. So everybody come, regular attire and everything. If you want to, you can wear what you would have worn in 1973. There's a rumor out there that Rod Freeman's going to wear his Philadelphia 76ers uniform. I don't know if that's true or not, but come, be there, and you should see for yourself if that is, in fact, the case. I wasn't actually sure. I was about to say, we have something exciting in store. There's going to be a new piece of the program. So Bert, will you describe just a little bit about what it is?
Well, we have a world-renowned magician going to perform that night after dinner. That's all I can say.
No truth to the rumor that he is going to make me disappear?
We can only hope.
Absolutely. And with that, it's time for Jason to make an announcement.
Today's the last day to make payments online for your dues.
Oh, great, thank you. So today is the last day to make payments online for your dues for the foreseeable future. You can still obviously pay your dues in any other way that you see fit, but if you want to pay them online, the credit card, today's your last day to get that done. Okay, so what happened 50 years ago today? We've had this groundswell of detractors who have not wanted to give baseball trivia, so I have searched through and I have found some trivia for today. Trivia piece number 1. 50 years ago today, September 29th, 1973, We're an American Band by Grand Funk peaks at number 1. Soyuz 12, Return to Earth. And Rosemary Woods, the personal secretary to the U.S. President, Richard M. Nixon, transcribed one of the secret White House recordings that had been made of a June 20th, 1972 conversation between the President and Chief of Staff, H.R. Haldeman. Afterward, she found that 18 minutes and 30 seconds of the recording, which had been made shortly after the Watergate break-in, had been erased. Speculation followed about whether the 18-minute gap had been deliberately created, with questions about whether the conversation had been about covering up an investigation of the burglary. Woods claimed that she had mistakenly hit the record button rather than the playback button on the Uher 5000 machine, and then held her foot on the pedal controls for 5 minutes while answering a telephone. She later insisted she was not responsible for the remaining 13 minutes of buzz. The contents of that conversation, which, as aforementioned, occurred between Nixon and his chief of staff that day, 3 days after the Watergate break-in, still to this day remain unknown. But if we surveyed the 60, 70 people in this room, I'm sure we'd come up with about 183 solid theories. So that's the trivia that we have. And now aren't you glad that I actually do have one really good piece of baseball trivia? On the second to last game of the Atlanta Braves' 1973 baseball season, one Hank Aaron hit his 713th career home run, just one less than the 714 hit during Babe Ruth's career. The homer was the 40th of the season for the 39-year-old Aaron. Aaron had 3 hits and 4 at-bats in the last game, a 5-3 loss to Houston, but no homers, unfortunately, and the breaking of the record would not take place until the start of the next season. You are smarter now than you were 7 minutes ago. You're welcome. And now, speaking of being smarter now than you were before you heard someone speak, Bert Bradford is about to introduce our amazing speaker today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, our speaker is Dr. Greg Jones. He is president of Belmont University, a position he took over in June of 2021. He was educated at the University of Denver, has a BA and an MPA from there, and from Duke, he has a Master's of Divinity and a PhD. He holds honorary doctorates from Lycoming College, North Carolina Wesleyan University. He is committed to serving in the Nashville and Middle Tennessee region to strengthen partnerships and cultivate flourishing across the region. Greg is known as a leader and a strategist whose creative engagement has helped institutions across the world and in local communities create transformational resource models. Greg's global imagination has guided businesses, education, and religious leaders in Africa, Asia, and Europe, and the United States. He has a particular gift for incubating talent and ideas, along with networks across disciplines and sectors. He is passionate about reshaping cultures within and across organizations. He's coined the term traditional innovation to capture how he reframes complex challenges to see significant opportunities. Greg served as the Dean of Duke Divinity School from 97 through 2010, and then back again from 18 to 21. Greg served in a variety of roles, including Vice President, Vice Provost for Global Strategies and Programs at Duke University. Also as Provost and Executive Vice President at Baylor University. He has served in strategic roles in several foundations, and he's the author or editor of 19 books. He's authored over more than 200 essays and articles. In Nashville, Greg serves on the boards of the United Way, Nashville Public Education Foundation, Nashville Healthcare Council, and the Steering Committee for Nashville's Agenda. He's a member of the Leadership Nashville Class of 2022. And more broadly, he serves on the boards of John Templeton Foundation, McDonald Agape Foundation, and India Collective. He's an ordained Methodist pastor. He is married to the Reverend Dr. Susan Pendleton Jones, also a United Methodist minister, who currently serves in a variety of roles and capacities at Belmont and Nashville. They have 3 children, all married, and 4 grandchildren. And I just found out he was actually born in Nashville, but only lived here 6 months. So would you welcome Dr. Jones, please?
Thank you, Bert. It's a great joy to be here with you. Actually, when I was born in Nashville, my mom was the choir director at Brentwood Methodist Church. Minnie Pearl was in her choir, which we watched Hee-Haw and Grand Ole Opry during those, when I was a kid. And my mom would say, Well, there's Sarah from church choir, and I didn't believe her because you just didn't think somebody like that character, Minnie Pearl, would be in a church choir. But anyway, it was part of our heritage. And so my nickname during Leadership Nashville was Boomerang, because I was born here and now I'm back. And Susan and I are thrilled to be a part of this community in Metro Nashville and at Belmont University. I thought I'd give you some overview of what drew me to Belmont and to us to Nashville and kind of where we're headed. Part of the great joy of being at Belmont is it's a university that's been a part of this area for a very long time. The predecessor institution, Ward Belmont, goes back to 1890, and two school teachers from Philadelphia, two women, Susan Heron and Ida B. Hood, founded Ward Belmont in 1890. Minnie Pearl was a graduate of Ward Belmont. It turns out my paternal grandmother was a student at Ward Belmont 100 years ago, and turns out she wasn't nearly as good a student as she made herself out to be as a grandmother. I got a copy of her transcript that now hangs in my office. It looks like she was a lot more interested in my grandfather than she was in her studies, shall we say. But Belmont's got a long tradition, and then over the last 20 years, it's really had a lot of significant growth that continues, as I'll talk about in just a minute. Hearing that your Rotary Club was founded in 1973, a lot happened at Belmont around that same time. In 72, 73, we founded both our College of Nursing, our nursing program, and also the College of Business. So last year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of nursing as well as business. And then this year we will be, I'll come back to that in just a second, but we're going to be celebrating our music business program, which is also 50 years old. Thought I'd begin first with a story about a symbol that we changed when Susan and I got to Belmont. We were getting ready for my inauguration and talking about the symbols of the inauguration, and we were talking about the mace. And Belmont had a really ugly mace. The mace is traditionally what begins an academic procession, and I said, we need to replace that. And as happens now when people have laptops up, somebody Googled mace and said, you realize it's actually a weapon? And it goes back to the Middle Ages, and the mace was what began the academic procession to ward off animals or marauders or whoever might be there. So do we really want a weapon symbolizing our university? And so we thought, that seems strange. And then Susan suggested, well, why don't we have a basin and a towel? And so that's now the symbol for our academic procession, which we thought was better for us as a Christ-centered university to lead with that. So we asked one of our members of our art faculty, a woodworker, to make the basin. And the picture you have there is made out of wood from the Nashville area, multiple kinds of wood to signify the diversity of God's good creation. And we have a towel that goes in the middle of it. And so every procession now and every academic ceremony we have is focused on that. And, in ways that align with the values of Rotary, we really want to be a university that's focused on service and engaging in that kind of way, that's not looking at how we can tout ourselves, but more how we can be of service. And that includes to our students as well as in the Nashville community. It's extraordinary the number of student hours that our students volunteer in various projects and internships and engagements all across the Metro Nashville region. When I was talking about 1973, we're now celebrating 73, 74 was when our music business program was created. Belmont was a small college and it was fairly fragile financially back in those days, and so the thought of starting two new schools, nursing and business, as well as a music business program, is just kind of mind-boggling to me. I would love to have the video, like the progressive commercials about instant replay, where I could watch the meeting where Dr. Herbert Gabhart, who was a Baptist pastor, and I've never seen a picture of him when he was not wearing a white shirt and a black tie and a full suit, was visited by the leaders of Music Row, which is right down the corner, right down the street from us, and they came to see Dr. Gabhart, and I imagine they were not, shall we say, in a white shirt and black tie and full suit. And they said, you know, the people who run music business on Music Row are musicians who don't know anything about business. Could you all design a program for people who run the music business? And Dr. Gebhardt said, sure. Seems like a natural connection, a Baptist college and Music Row. And so we started the music business program. And it is now in its 50th year. It's now part of the Curb College of Entertainment and Music Business, which is the largest college we have of our 12 colleges. It's wonderful that we have a College of Business, a College of Music and Performing Arts, and then a College of Music and Entertainment Business. So one of the things that's really remarkable is that we train songwriters, and I love the fact that our songwriting faculty all have Grammys, so they're not just theorists, they actually know how to write award-winning songs. We train the music performers, people like Trisha Yearwood, Brad Paisley, as well as the people who run the music business, the leaders of Sony and Universal and Warner Chappell are all Belmont alums. And so we've had that dynamic. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary, have a new dean, Brittany Schaefer, who was previously the lead for Spotify in this region, so she has that very practical experience as we look toward the next iteration of our music and entertainment business program. Next April, we're going to celebrate a dinner event this coming Tuesday night for that. And then next spring, really cool thing, we've bought out the entire Opry for a night, and we're going to have our alumni perform, which will include Trisha Yearwood and Brad Paisley and Tyler Hubbard from Florida Georgia Line and a whole host of others for a night to celebrate the 50th anniversary. As I said, it's our largest college. We're known for music and entertainment, performers, songwriters, and the music business program. It's quite ironic that I'm the president of Belmont University's, which has that large program, because I'm not allowed to sing even in the shower. The night before my inauguration, we got Brad Paisley to do a concert, and I'd gotten to know him, and I was standing off stage to come out and say thank you to him. We were in the Fisher Center, and he saw me off the stage. He said, hey, Greg, come out. So I come out, and he says, you want to hear Greg sing? And everybody said yes, except my family. It was in the front row saying no. And so I humiliated myself in front of everyone as we were walking off the stage. Brad said, Greg, you found your lane as university president. Stay in it. I want to talk about also our work in innovation and entrepreneurship. We just opened this fall. This is a picture of the new Jack C. Massey Center that we opened in August. It's 6 floors, about 140,000 square feet, and it's just a dynamic gathering space for students and faculty and staff. Jack C. Massey was the first person to take 3 companies public in U.S. history, a legend in this region. He started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Turns out the Colonel had a great recipe but knew nothing about business. The first deal Jack Massey offered to the Colonel was that the Colonel would they'd go business as partners. He said, I don't want to do that. He said, all right, well, I'm going to set up franchises. I'll give you a cut of every franchise. The Colonel said, I don't want that either. He said, I just want to sell you the recipe. And so they said they'd put a number on a piece of paper and put it in the front of the table, turn over and see how far apart they were. 1958, both of them wrote down $2 million. It was a lot of money in 1958, but let's just say a lot less than the Colonel would have gotten if he'd gone in as a partnership. Jack Massey started and spread Kentucky Fried Chicken. He also mentored Dave Thomas, who was one of his franchisees before Wendy's. Then he co-founded HCA Healthcare as well as Mrs. Winter's Chicken. He started supporting Belmont in the 60s and 70s, was the architect behind our College of Business, and he did so even though he'd had a lot of kids go to Vanderbilt, because he thought Belmont would have a larger, longer commitment to Nashville, and out of its Christian commitment would have a brighter future. So Jack Massey's had an outsized influence, and the Jack C. Massey Foundation and Barbara Massey Rogers gave a significant gift for this. I tell you the story about Jack Massey because entrepreneurship is baked into Belmont's DNA, and it's something we're now doubling down on, about the importance of an entrepreneurial mindset. Too much of higher education is preparing for 1995 in case it comes back again. We're focused on 2030 and 2040 and preparing our students for the jobs and the opportunities that are going to be developing in the future. And so with the Massey Center, the 5th and 6th floors up in the top levels are designed as co-working spaces, collaboration to bring together our signature initiatives in data, our data collaborative, our innovation labs, bringing people and bringing companies onto campus to work on real-world problems and to prepare students across disciplines to focus on creative solutions to complex problems with that entrepreneurial mindset. We want all our students, whatever their vocation, whatever they want to do in their long-term future, to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And entrepreneurship is a team sport. It requires and builds on collaboration and teamwork, and so that's a key feature of the Massey Center. The 3rd and 4th floors are faculty offices, and the faculty who got to go into those offices are people who are drawn toward collaboration from across all of our colleges. It's a wonderful space, gathering of students. This is the 1st floor, which is a new admissions center, where a new front door for the university, and it's become a real wonderful gathering space for students. We have all sorts of spaces for students to study and to collaborate together on that. You see the 5th and 6th floors, which is designed to have fluidity up and down, co-working space. Back toward the back, you see a very large room that's designed for hackathons, which most of us are too old to really understand what they do, but it's basically, you get a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds in a room with computers and a whole bunch of data that's a real-world problem, and then they figure out how to find solutions to it. And they love to spend a whole day. All you have to do is give them some pizza and sodas, and they're happy for a day. It's something that, well, let's just say I'm not going to be joining those hackathons very regularly. This is the first level. That's the new dean of our College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So you see this space that's part of our new Welcome Center. I want to highlight this because I just think it's a really cool story, and it also picks up something Bert mentioned in his introduction. I coined the term traditioned innovation. This really was born out of trying to say, how do we think about innovation that isn't just making stuff up? You know, too often when we think of innovation, we think it's just making stuff up, and that's not good. Because, you know, making stuff up is like a middle school band concert. Nobody wants to go to it, even the parents. You know, what you really want is something more like the Miles Davis Quintet, where you've got really skilled musicians and can do really creative improvisation and innovation. The best innovation in business, in any vocation, is always drawing on the best of the past. If you think of it in theological terms, only God creates out of nothing. All the rest of us are creating, building on things that have gone before us in the past. This is a conference room on the 6th floor of the Massey Center, and the table is made out of chestnut wood. Now, many of you will know that there is no more chestnut trees on the East Coast because where they said in the late 1800s it would be possible for a squirrel to be in a chestnut tree in New York and not touch ground by the time they got to Georgia because there were so many trees. They had some kind of blight that happened that destroyed them all. This wood was actually in the pillars of the office building that I'm in, Freeman Hall, which is on Wedgwood. Beautiful building with these wonderful pillars. When we were redoing my office area, when I first came in, they discovered that those pillars weren't filled with cement and what you would really want to hold up a building. They were filled with chestnut wood. Rather than just taking that to the dump or to burn, we repurposed it, got a wood craftsman who turned it into this beautiful conference room table. So it's taking something from the past, which actually goes all the way back to Ward Belmont and our predecessor college, now serving as an opportunity for gathering space for people to collaborate on 21st century problems. That sense of retrieving the best wisdom from the past is really important to what we're trying to do as we look toward the future with that entrepreneurial mindset. Part of my gift of coming to Belmont is that I stand on the shoulders of people, men and women who have been on the faculty and staff and students and alumni and previous presidents, all the way back to Ida Hood and Susan Heron in really extraordinary ways that make it possible for us to do creative work into the future. I want to also talk briefly about the Frisk College of Medicine. This is a building still under construction. It's right near the corner of Wedgwood and 12th, also what becomes Granny White Pike. We anticipate this College of Medicine will open next summer. We should get the word back from our accrediting body, the LCME, in about 2 weeks, on October 12th, that we get the go-ahead to begin recruiting students. We've had all the visit. We've submitted the gazillion pages of documents that accreditation bodies like to receive, and all signs are that we'll get a green light on October the 12th to begin recruiting students for our first class in the summer of 2024. We're developing this in partnership especially with HCA Healthcare, as well as Ascension St. Thomas and other healthcare institutions. This building will be about 250,000 square feet, which includes a 52,000 square foot simulation center, which will be the largest simulation lab in anywhere on an academic campus in the United States, bringing doctors, nurses, pharmacists, other health science professionals together, because the healthcare workforce going forward is going to be increasingly collaborative and team-based, and so we wanted to create the space here to bring people together across professions. We anticipate our first class of medical students will be about 60 students because we have to work out clinical rotations and all the partnerships in the city, so we want to start smaller. Eventually, we'll be taking in between 100 and 125 students a class. Many of you know that there is a shortage of physicians today, and it's likely to increase going forward. We're also planning to expand our nursing, our Inman College of Nursing, because of the nursing shortage. These are issues that we are going to be facing. We're working with the Nashville Healthcare Council and other companies and organizations throughout this region to really focus on what are the healthcare workforce needs of the future and how can we equip and train people in these ways. Anderson Spickard is the Dean of the Frist College of Medicine, longtime physician at Vanderbilt, deep family ties across Nashville, and what he's doing is just extraordinary in focusing, as he did so well in his own practice, on whole person care, caring for the whole patient. The advances in medicine often will leave you as a patient feeling like all they care about is my liver or whatever the presenting problem is. We want to equip doctors to care for whole patients going forward, and that's an integral feature of where we're headed. We're also focused on developing initiatives to encourage the healthcare workforce to be able to tend to people in rural settings, because that is a growing issue and crisis in the United States, and trying to find creative solutions to that. This is a view of the Frist College of Medicine from the south end, and you can see Nashville in the background, and it's just wonderful that at Belmont, so many of our buildings, including my office, look out on downtown Nashville to keep us focused on the intersection between who we are as a university and our engagement with the broader community. This is the seal and the description of the College of Medicine. It's a College of Medicine dedicated to Christ-centeredness. Some of you may know, but it's important to recognize the first hospitals created in the history of the world actually were early Christians. And so that sense of dedication to healing and care is something that Christians pioneered centuries ago. And many of the medical schools across the United States were founded out of Christian motivation, but then gradually secularized. That would be true of Duke and Harvard and Yale and Vanderbilt. It's even true of Baylor College of Medicine, which is completely separate from Baylor University. What I want to highlight about the seal is if you look at it, it looks completely secular. There's a caduceus with a snake that's a traditional symbol of medicine with some water underneath and some leaves and fruit around it. The seal can be interpreted in a secular healthcare setting in just those sorts of ways. And yet there's a deeper resonance to that Christ-centeredness that the serpent there, if you imagine now the caduceus as a symbol of a tree, the serpent actually connects to Numbers as well as the Gospels and Jesus defeating evil, confronting and defeating evil. The water at the bottom is evocative of Psalm 1 and the tree that stands sturdy by the stream of living water and so is continually replenished. And then the leaves and the fruit are evocative of Revelation 21 and the tree of life for the healing of all the nations. And so there's this deep resonance, and that's where I really want to conclude with this seal, is part of what I love about Belmont, is that we have a deep rootedness in faith, ecumenical Christian commitments. Actually, we have as many Catholic students now as we do any other tradition, and because of the kind of growth of immigrant refugee communities in the greater metro Nashville area, we also have a significant number of Egyptian and Ethiopian Coptic Christians now coming to us as students. But deep rootedness in faith, and yet preparing people for service and engagement in the broader world. That's true for us with the music and entertainment world. It's true in business. It's true in healthcare. And so we want to be a place that is both faith-based and faith-animated for engagement in the broader world. That's a key part of what we do across all of our colleges. We have now 12 colleges, which includes significant footprints in music and entertainment and business and healthcare, and my focus on those here. But it also includes recently the acquisition of the Watkins College of Art and the O'Moore College of Architecture and Fashion Design, College of Education. So we're working across a wide variety of schools. Belmont was about 3,000 students 20 years ago. We're now at 9,000 students. With the addition of the College of Medicine, we anticipate we'll, before long, be about 10,000 students. We don't anticipate growing much larger in the undergraduate population because there are challenges and the stress on the footprint. We anticipate doing more and more at the master's level, doing more online and hybrid in partnership with the needs of this region and well beyond. Belmont has been on a really incredible trajectory. It was that energy, that entrepreneurial mindset, rooted in faith, that was what helped draw Susan and me to Belmont and to Nashville. And a little over 2 years in, we couldn't be happier. The energy of this region, yeah, we've got challenges and growth and traffic and housing and all those sorts of things. But whenever anybody complains about the growth of this region, I just say, I'd rather have that problem than the alternative. Outside of Duluth, Minnesota, there was a billboard that said, "Last one to leave, turn out the lights." That's not the problem you want to be wrestling with. The key is how can we do it in ways that will have that entrepreneurial mindset, find creative solutions to complex problems, help us all be able to flourish and be of service. So we go back to that basin and towel as the heart of who I hope we will be and we will become as we move forward. It's a great opportunity, a great joy to be a part of this community, and it's a great joy to be with you today. Thanks very much.
Hi, thanks for speaking to us today.
I was just about to say, do you have any questions?
Sorry. I was wondering, I know that in the fairly recent past, Belmont also started a law school, which I understand has also done incredibly well.
Yep.
Do you know, as an ABA accredited school, if there's any possibility of them ever doing any kind of hybrid or online offering? Because I know of the Nashville School of Law, the evening school, but it'd be great to have a hybrid option as well that also carries ABA that's more regionally centered here in this area or in Nashville itself.
Yeah, we've got a whole initiative called Educational Innovation that's working on that, and they're working with Dean Gonzalez and the law school. I could have just talked about all our programs. I love the College of Law and its growth since its founding, and especially under Dean Gonzalez's leadership, because it prepares practice-ready lawyers. So from the class of 2019, we are the only college of law in the country that had 100% bar passage rate within 2 years, which is, you know, the true test. When I was at Duke, they had a very prestigious college of law, but most of the lawyers who practiced said the graduates weren't ready to practice their first year or so. And so, yes, I hope we will be developing. We anticipate a much more robust set of online and hybrid offerings. And also, one of the interesting things is those offerings at the intersection of law and the music and entertainment business, for example, or in law and healthcare, because there's so much at the intersections of those. So yes, I anticipate we'll be doing a lot more of that in the coming 3 years.
Are there more plans for property acquisition, expansion, or is that phase completed and y'all are looking at different aspects?
We have an institutional overlay that we've worked out with the Metro Nashville Planning Commission. We don't own all the property in that. We own a lot of it. So if there's any houses that become available in that broad framework, which basically goes from 12th up to Compton, over to Belmont Boulevard and Wedgwood, we'll continue to acquire those. But if you look at what we already own, we think we have all the land we need for any building we would do over the next 20 years. So we don't feel landlocked. We want to be prudent and wise in the decisions that we make going forward. And actually, some of what we're going to need to do over the next decade is going to be to tear down and rebuild on sites we already have. We've got a few dorms that go back to the 1920s, and I think we've used all the Band-Aids and duct tape that we can. And when we tear those down, there'll be an opportunity to go up and add bed space. We just broke ground on what we're calling currently Caldwell 2, which is a new dormitory, which will add about 700 beds a year and a half from now. One of the great challenges we face is just the affordability of housing. Normally, most juniors and seniors traditionally have wanted to live off campus. Last year, almost all of them, 80% of rising juniors and seniors wanted to live on campus because it's either too expensive or just not available. But we've got plenty of space to do what we want to do, and just some really amazing space. The creation of the Fisher Center, which opened 2 years ago, if you haven't been inside it, I commend you to come to one of the public-facing events that we have. It's just extraordinarily beautiful space. Garth Brooks told me after he performed there, it was the best acoustics he'd ever played in, which I thought was pretty good, given that he gets around a little bit. It's the best acoustics I've ever sung in, but since I'm not allowed to sing, that doesn't mean much.
So Belmont took over O'Moore College of Design, and I'm wondering, they're just on 2 floors. They left a whole campus, and now they're kind of relegated to 2 floors of one building. Is that going to change, or is that where they're going to live forever?
It's already changing, and we have on our long-term plans a new space for them. But when we opened the Massey Center, the Bruin Shop, which was on Belmont Boulevard, moved over there, which is much better for connected to the admissions center. And so now the O'Moore Center will be expanding into that space on Belmont Boulevard. They're also in the Gabhart building. Both architecture and interior and fashion design are 2 of our fastest growing programs. So we're looking at ways to expand and enhance that program. It's an amazing opportunity. The interest in a Christian school of architecture, there aren't many of them. We're just seeing incredible growth. And by the way, fashion, I was talking, a Belmont grad is president of the National Basketball Association. And I was with him a few weeks ago. And I just said, so tell me about what what are the cutting edges? And he said, well, you ought to be looking at the intersections between all your sports administration stuff and music and entertainment and fashion design. And I thought about it, well, yeah, they're into shoes, and if you watch the NBA draft, they are quite interested in attire and all sorts of things. And a lot of these players are starting their own fashion lines, and so I anticipate that O'Moore will probably grow as one of our fastest growing colleges in the next 5 to 8 years.
I was working on a piece of property down in Memphis, and it was ancillary to roads, and they were looking at the purchase of it, and we were talking, these were pretty high officials with roads, and we were talking about, they were saying, well, how does this fit into our footprint? And we're very limited in what we can do. The campus is very secured. We know how to do this. We've done it for years. We're a liberal arts school. Somebody had mentioned Belmont, actually, and they were talking about the expansions of Belmont, and it was in a complementary, highly complementative. They were talking about Belmont and we're liberal arts. They're more, fit the needs of the community. I thought that was interesting, just observation, and they were very highly complimented of Belmont. So
Thanks.
just wanted to say that.
Well, I appreciate that. I would say, and actually one of my predecessors at Belmont went from Belmont to be president of Rhodes. But these days, I could have talked for a long time about higher education and what's happening. Some of you may know, in 2025 and 2026, the number of 18-year-olds just starts a rapid decline that extends for at least 5 years. And you might hope the stock market's going to turn around and be better next week. There ain't no way you can change the demographics of 18-year-olds because it takes 18 years to make an 18-year-old. The only way the demographics will change is with immigration or influx internationally. But one of the things that I think is a real challenge for traditional liberal arts colleges is they're really constrained in what they can do. And what Belmont did about 25 years ago, which I am so grateful for, was to broaden the footprint and to focus on the needs of the community and build those stronger ties and be responsive and nimble so that now, by starting a College of Law, College of Pharmacy, acquiring Watkins and O'Moore, we now have, think of it as a diversified stock portfolio. If one college starts to dip, as pharmacy did nationwide, the number of students going into pharmacy dipped about 5 years ago, that was fine because nursing was increasing. And so we've been able to continue to grow as a school by having that diversity. I think if you're a small liberal arts college with a limited footprint, you're going to really struggle in the next 5 years as the demographics change. The canary in the coal mine for a lot of us is Birmingham Southern College in Birmingham, Alabama, which 20 years ago was recognized as one of the best colleges, particularly in the Southeast. And last year it would have closed if it hadn't been for a bailout by the city of Birmingham and the state of Alabama, because it just hadn't grown, it hadn't evolved and changed. And so that entrepreneurial mindset seems to me to be really, really important going forward. We care about the liberal arts. We have a strong core curriculum, and we want to prepare people for jobs. We have a 96% placement rate for graduates within 6 months of graduation, and 86% of that 96% are in jobs related to their major. So we think that's because of those internships and the partnerships we have across the region.
Super quick. Greg, I love, thanks for being here today. Thanks for your insights. Love your passion and energy. Belmont's obviously going places, but super quick, what's one thing you're proud of during your 2-year or so tenure that hasn't received a lot of acclaim or press?
It's a great question. I think I'd probably say cultivating a spirit of hope and joy in the community. When I was at an event in downtown Nashville, and we had name tags on with our institution. Somebody was making a beeline over and said, "Are you the president of Belmont?" Whenever somebody said, "Are you the president?" I always kind of hesitate, like, what's coming next? I wanted to say, maybe. And I said, yes. And he said, "You all are the hope people." And I thought, oh, I'll take that. The theme for my inaugural year was "Let Hope Abound," was in the midst of COVID and everything else. And I just thought, we need something forward-looking and positive. So we said, "Let hope abound." It had a kind of positive energy, and it really took hold. And then I really wanted to cultivate a culture of joy and a sense of community and working across functions. And so as part of my inauguration, we canceled classes for the day. We called it a day to dream. And that's now become an annual tradition. It's next Wednesday following our Hope Summit, which we bring people together for 2 days of inspiration and conversation from across this region as well as other areas. And this day to dream is really to bring people together. We did some TED Talks where people could talk about the work and the implications it has for other faculty, but that sense of community and collaboration. I know it's 2 minutes, but I'll just finish real quick that we're in a time where there are huge mental health challenges. That's true for a lot of us coming out of COVID, but for young adults and for high school kids, the the rise of loneliness, isolation, depression, suicide ideation had been increasing before COVID. It was intensified by COVID. And if you look at the data, you can do lots of treatment after the fact. And we have lots of mental health counselors and others to try to address after the fact kinds of when those symptoms appear. But in many ways, the deepest crises around mental health are what you might call lost connections. And so I think what I'm proudest of is a sense of developing community, focusing on unlikely friendships, nurturing those kind of collaboration opportunities. The Jack C. Massey Center has all this beautiful space. What I love is students keep coming up to me and calling it the Gelato Building, because there's an ice cream shop in the first floor that they just love. I hear the salted caramels to die for. And so that sense of community, I think, is probably one of the things I'm proudest of. And when people just say they want to come to work, and they really are energized by the community and that sense of hope and joy, which I think would be something I'd take for a long time as a mark of a good institution.
Dr. Jones, I think we live in an age where truth and hope are often under attack, and the last question and last answer were very encouraging to hear. I loved to hear your words. I also found a truth and a hope in earlier comments that you made. The truth is that I definitely do not want to go to a middle school band concert. The hope, I'm going to turn your comment around and say, man, I really hope we can bring 1994 back. Can we please bring 1994 back? Man, that was a good year. It was a good year for Keeley. Thank you so much for coming to speak today. Thank you for sharing about Belmont. Thank you for what Belmont does for our community and for our world. Thank you for training a new generation of leaders and a current generation of leaders. We need more Belmonts on earth. So we appreciate you and what you do. I do have a very small thank you gift. The book has no significance because I don't know what it's about. But we read this book to elementary school students in Brentwood, and we have our speakers each week sign a copy of this book. So we'd love to have you take this pen that we are also presenting to you that I'm having a very difficult time opening the box to. Take this pen as our gift to you. That's for you, and also to use to sign this book for us to read to I do. I need to read many books. I need to read just a book would be a good start. The book is a good start. Couple of closing announcements. Charles has left, but Charles actually has a banner that we'll talk about next week, assuming he's here then. Look for an email today or sometime over the next few days about the anniversary banquet. Again, that date, October the 26th, Thursday evening at Richland Country Club. Look for an email for your meal selection, and if you want to bring a guest, so we do need registrations, RSVPs from everybody. The deadline to RSVP is going to be October 20th, but just get it in right now. Just get it in as soon as you get that email. So look for that email. Please stack the chairs in stacks of 8. You don't need to move them against the wall. Just stack them in stacks of 8 and put the tables away. We welcome Steve, Tim, Banks, and Martin. Thank you guys for joining us. We hope to see you all back here again. And are there any other announcements for the good of Rotary before we adjourn? There is a meeting, yes?
Just FYI, the magician we're flying in from Las Vegas.
Can he not just make himself appear? Okay, so we are flying the Las Vegas magician in for the show. That's going to be fun, y'all. So definitely come. There is going to be a meeting of the 50th Anniversary Committee in an undisclosed location. They have a room for us. I just don't know which one it is, so look for a guy in a red shirt running around like he's lost. We'll find that room. And if that's it, we are now adjourned.